I'll never forget the morning that little girl walked up to us. There we were, 12 bikers from the Iron Angels Motorcycle Club, just having breakfast at this old truck stop diner off Route 19. Plates of eggs, bacon, and hot coffee all around. Then, out of nowhere, this tiny girl shows up. Dirt all over her clothes, hair tangled, eyes big and scared. She marched right up to our table and said, "Please arrest me. I'm a thief." Every fork in that place froze in midair. You could have heard a pin drop. Our president, a tough woman we all call Mama Bear, slowly set her coffee down and leaned forward. "What's your name, sweetheart?" she asked softly. "Sophia," the girl whispered. "And why do you think you need to be arrested, Sophia?" Mama Bear asked. "Because I stole food from a store yesterday," the little girl said, her voice shaking. "And thieves belong in jail." Then, she reached into her jacket pocket and pulled out a crushed granola bar, still wrapped. That moment hit every one of us like a punch to the gut. Something was terribly wrong here. Mama Bear's tone softened even more. "When's the last time you had a real meal, Sophia?" Sophia's eyes filled with tears. She started counting on her tiny fingers. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Diesel, one of our biggest guys with a gray beard that could hide a bird's nest, growled, "You mean 5 days? A kid your age hasn't eaten in 5 damn days." Sophia just stared down at her old, worn-out shoes and said quietly, "I can't tell you why." Mama Bear tilted her head. "Why can't you tell us, honey?" "Because if I tell you," Sophia said, her lip trembling, "you might give me food. And if you feed me, I can't go to jail. And that's the only place where people get 3 meals every day." Man, that hit us hard. Like a freight truck to the chest. This little girl wanted to be arrested just so she could eat. Mama Bear swallowed hard. "Where are your parents, Sophia?" The girl's eyes welled up. "My mama died when I was 6, she said. "Cancer. The doctors tried everything." We all exchanged quiet glances. A kid who'd already lost so much. "What about your dad?" Wrench asked, gently. "He married Linda 2 years ago," Sophia said. "She says I eat too much and waste her money." Mama Bear's gaze dropped to the girl's oversized clothes, 2 sizes too big, hanging off her skinny frame. She noticed the marks on Sophia's arms, too, faint purple bruises shaped like fingers. "Did Linda do this to you?" she asked carefully. Sophia didn't answer. She just went completely silent, and that silence told us everything we needed to know. "Where's Linda now?" Diesel asked, his voice low and dangerous. "At home with my dad," Sophia said. "He works nights, so he doesn't know Linda locks me out of the kitchen. She said if I came back before Monday, she'd make sure I was really sorry." You could feel the anger rise around that table. A grown woman starving a grieving child. That's beyond unforgivable. "How long have you been out on the streets?" Mama Bear asked. 3 days, Sophia admitted. "I slept in the park behind the library, but the police chased me off last night." Mama Bear took a deep breath and then said something that changed everything. "All right, Sophia," she said with a gentle smile. "We'll arrest you. But first, we've got to follow proper police procedure." Sophia's brow furrowed. "What procedure?" she asked, a tiny spark of hope in her voice. "Well," Mama Bear said, pretending to think, "every criminal gets one last meal before they go to jail. It's the law." Then she turned to the waitress. "Bring this dangerous little criminal the biggest stack of pancakes you've got. Bacon, eggs, orange juice, and chocolate milk too." While Sophia ate like she hadn't seen food in weeks, Mama Bear was already on the phone. "Hawk," she said, "I need a background check on a woman named Linda, married to a widower with a daughter named Sophia." 10 minutes later, Hawk called back. "Got her. Linda Patterson. Married Robert Garcia 3 years ago. His first wife, Maria Garcia, died of breast cancer 4 years back. Current address, 2156 Maple Drive, about 15 minutes from where you are. And get this, Linda's got a record, child endangerment charges from her first marriage. Turns out, Linda's name was already in the system. Child Protective Services had taken her kids once before. She only got them back after completing some rehabilitation program. Didn't last long, though. Her ex-husband ended up with full custody when they divorced. When Mama Bear heard that, I swear the color drained from her face. This woman wasn't just cruel. She had a history of hurting kids. And somehow, she'd found her way into another family with a little girl who had no one left to protect her. Sophia looked up from her empty plate, syrup on her chin like a tiny reminder of innocence. "So, do I go to jail now?" she asked softly. Mama Bear smiled gently. "Soon, sweetheart. But first, we've got to stop by your house and grab your things." That's when fear flashed across Sophia's face like lightning. "No," she said, shaking her head hard. "Linda will hurt you too. She gets mean when she's mad." 12 full-grown bikers couldn't help but exchange small smiles at that. Diesel cracked his knuckles and muttered, "Let her try." We rode out together, engines rumbling through the quiet neighborhood until we pulled up to this run-down house with dead flowers in the yard and paint peeling off the porch. Didn't exactly scream, "Happy home." Sophia rode on the back of Mama Bear's bike, wearing a helmet that kept slipping down over her eyes. She looked half nervous, half relieved. Mama Bear marched right up to the door and knocked, firm and steady. When it opened, a woman stood there, mid-30s, dripping in gold jewelry and expensive clothes that didn't match the crumbling house behind her. Her voice came out cold as ice. "Yeah?" Mama Bear kept her tone even. "We're bringing Sophia home." Linda's eyes darted toward the little girl hiding behind Diesel's leather vest. "That little brat finally decided to crawl back?" she sneered, reaching for Sophia's arm. Before she could touch her, Mama Bear grabbed Linda's wrist and squeezed. Not hard, just enough to make a point. "Let's have a little chat," she said quietly. "Who the hell do you think you are?" Linda hissed. "People who care about children," Wrench said, stepping forward from behind Mama Bear. Just then, a man appeared in the doorway, wearing grease-stained work clothes and a face lined with exhaustion. "Sophia?" His voice cracked. "Baby, where have you been? I've been worried sick." "She ran away 3 days ago," Linda cut in fast, all fake concern. "Ungrateful. After everything we've done for her." Sophia looked up at her father, eyes full of pain. "You're never home, Daddy," she whispered. "You don't see what happens." Robert frowned, confused. "What are you talking about?" Mama Bear crossed her arms. "When's the last time you saw your daughter eat, Mr. Garcia?" "This morning," he said quickly, defensive. "We had breakfast together." "Really?" Mama Bear said, raising an eyebrow. She turned toward Sophia. "Did you have breakfast today, honey?" Sophia shook her head. "Daddy left for work at 5. Linda made breakfast after he left. But she said it wasn't for me." Robert turned sharply toward Linda. "What's she talking about?" Linda folded her arms. "She's lying. She does this all the time for attention." Diesel stepped forward, voice low and thunderous. "Then explain why your stepdaughter hasn't eaten in 5 days." Robert's eyes went wide. 5 days? That's impossible." Mama Bear pulled out her phone and held it up. "Is it?" she asked. On the screen were photos she'd just taken at the diner. Sophia's ribs showing through her shirt, her cheeks hollow, eyes sunken. "Does this look like a child who's been fed?" Robert stared at the photos, then at his daughter. Really looked at her, maybe for the first time in months. The baggy clothes, the dark circles, the way she flinched every time Linda moved. "Sophia," he said quietly, voice breaking. "Sweetheart, is this true?" Before the girl could answer, Linda snatched her phone from the counter. "I'm calling the police," she snapped. "You're trespassing, trying to kidnap my stepdaughter." "Please do," said a calm, new voice from behind us. We all turned. Standing there on the sidewalk was a woman in a dark business suit, flashing a badge. "I'm Detective Sarah Chen, Child Protective Services," she said. "We've been building a case against you, Linda Patterson Garcia, for the past month." Linda's face went pale as chalk. Linda tried to sound calm, but her voice shook. "I don't know what you're talking about." Detective Chen didn't flinch. She just raised her phone and said, "Really? Because I've got statements here from 3 of Sophia's teachers, 2 neighbors, and her school nurse, all documenting signs of neglect and abuse. And that's not all. We've also got grocery store security footage showing you buying luxury items, while your stepdaughter was caught stealing a granola bar yesterday. Robert looked like he'd just been punched in the gut." "You knew she stole food?" he asked, voice cracking. "You knew she was hungry?" "She's manipulative," Linda snapped. "She hides food in her room." "Show me," Detective Chen said flatly. "Show me this hidden food." We all followed them inside. Sophia's room was barely a room at all. Just a thin mattress on the floor. No blankets, no toys, no posters, no warmth. Definitely no food. This is her room," Robert whispered, his face twisting in disbelief. "She doesn't need much," Linda said quickly. "She's always been difficult." Detective Chen opened the closet. Inside hung 3 faded outfits, all too small for a growing girl. "Where are her clothes?" she asked. Linda's mask cracked. "She ruins everything," she barked. Robert started to speak, but Hawk, who'd been quietly watching from the corner, stepped forward. "Mr. Garcia, mind if I ask, where does your paycheck go?" "Direct deposit," Robert said. "Straight into our joint account. Why?" Hawk crossed his arms. "Because we pulled your bank records. Over the last 3 years, more than 60 grand's been transferred from that account into one under Linda's name. Money that was supposed to feed and clothe your daughter." Before anyone could react, Linda made a break for the door, but 2 of our guys moved faster, blocking her path. Detective Chen's voice cut through the tension, calm and sharp as steel. "Linda Patterson Garcia, you're under arrest for child endangerment, financial exploitation, and violating your previous CPS agreement." "You can't arrest me!" Linda screamed. "Robert, tell them! Tell them!" But Robert wasn't looking at her anymore. For the first time, he was really looking at Sophia. "Sweetheart," he said softly. "Did she hurt you?" Sophia hesitated, then gave a small, shaky nod. "Show me," he whispered. The little girl lifted her shirt just enough to reveal bruises, old and new, in the shape of adult fingers. Robert's face went through a storm of emotions, disbelief, grief, and pure rage. Then his jaw tightened. "Get her out of my house," he said quietly. "Robert, you don't understand," Linda stammered as Detective Chen cuffed her. "She's lying. She always—" "My daughter doesn't lie," Robert cut her off, his voice cold and steady. "Her mother raised her better than that. Now get out." A few minutes later, police cars pulled up, lights flashing red and blue across the broken windows. As they took Linda away, Robert sank onto the couch, head in his hands. "I didn't know," he whispered. "I swear to God I didn't know." Mama Bear stepped closer, her tone firm but gentle. "You didn't want to know," she said. "You were grieving, working yourself to the bone, trying to keep your world from falling apart. And she used that against you." Robert gave a bitter laugh. "Some father I am. I let someone hurt my little girl." Sophia took a few timid steps toward him. "Daddy." He looked up and then pulled her into his arms, holding her like he'd never let go again. "I'm so sorry, Mika," he whispered through tears. "I'm so sorry." Detective Chen cleared her throat softly. "Mr. Garcia, we need to discuss Sophia's care, given the severity of what's happened. CPS will need to conduct a full investigation." Robert's head shot up. You're not taking her away from me, are you?" "That depends," Chen said honestly. "Can you take a leave from work? Get help from family? Prove you can make her your priority?" "I'll do anything," Robert said, his voice breaking. "Whatever it takes." That's when another voice spoke up from behind us. "Actually," the voice said. That's when the front door opened and a woman with silver-streaked hair and eyes that looked just like Sophia's stepped inside. "She won't be doing this alone," the woman said. "Abuela!" Sophia cried, rushing forward. "My mother," Robert explained softly. "I didn't even think to call her. We drifted apart after Maria died." "Because Linda made sure of it," Mama Bear said. "Classic isolation tactic. Keeps control by cutting off family." Sophia's grandmother knelt down and pulled her close. "Oh, my sweet girl," she whispered, tears already in her eyes. "I've been trying to see you for 2 years. Every time I called, Linda said you were busy, or that you didn't want to talk to me." Sophia looked confused. "But I asked about you all the time," she said. "Linda told me you didn't want me anymore. She said I reminded you of Mama." And it hurt too much. The older woman's face broke completely. "Oh, honey," she said, voice trembling. "I could never not want you. You're my Maria's baby." Detective Chen stepped forward, holding some papers. "Mrs. Garcia Sr., would you be willing to stay with your son and granddaughter during the investigation?" The woman wiped her tears and stood up straight. "I am moving in tonight," she said firmly. "Good," Detective Chen nodded. "Mr. Garcia, you'll also need to attend parenting classes and family counseling. Sophia will need therapy to help her heal." "Whatever it takes," Robert said without hesitation. Mama Bear knelt beside Sophia and smiled gently. "You know, kid, you're the bravest girl I've ever met." "I'm not brave," Sophia said, shaking her head. "I ran away." "You survived," Mama Bear corrected softly. "You found help when you needed it most. That's not weakness. That's strength." Sophia's voice dropped to a whisper. "My mama would be disappointed in me." Her grandmother reached into her purse and pulled out a small gold locket. She opened it, revealing a faded photo. A smiling young woman holding baby Sophia in her arms. "Your mama told me before she passed," the grandmother said, her voice trembling. "She wasn't afraid of dying. What scared her was leaving you unprotected. She said, 'Promise me, she'll always be loved.'" Then she looked at the group of bikers surrounding her granddaughter, rough, leather-clad, but with eyes full of kindness. "She'd be grateful," the grandmother said softly, "that her little girl found angels when she needed them most. Even if those angels ride motorcycles." Sophia turned to Mama Bear. "Are you really going to arrest me for stealing?" Mama Bear nodded solemnly. "Yep. But here's your sentence." Sophia blinked. "My sentence?" "Community service," Mama Bear said with a grin. "Every Saturday you'll help us with our charity events, feeding the homeless, raising money for kids in need." Sophia frowned. "That's not jail." "It's better than jail," Mama Bear said. "You get to help people who are struggling, just like you were. And you get to hang out with some pretty awesome folks while you do it." For the first time since we'd met her, Sophia smiled. A real, bright, full smile. "Can my abuela come?" "Your whole family's welcome," Mama Bear said. Then she winked. "And if anyone out there believes in kindness and second chances, Hit that like button and subscribe. But that wasn't the end of it. The Iron Angels made sure Linda Patterson Garcia's name didn't disappear quietly. We spread word through every biker club and women's riding group in the region. Everyone knew what she'd done. When her hearing came up, she couldn't make bail. Too many eyes were watching. That Saturday, Sophia showed up for her first day of community service. 20 bikers met her at the club's charity kitchen. They taught her about compassion, about strength, and about how real women protect children. They don't hurt them. Robert quit his night job and took a lower-paying day shift so he could be home every evening. His mom moved into the spare bedroom and turned that cold, broken house into a home again. 2 months later, Sophia had gained 15 pounds. Her teachers said she laughed now, raised her hand in class, made friends, smiled every morning. And the Iron Angels? We didn't stop helping. We checked in, brought groceries, fixed their leaky roof, and made sure no one in that family ever felt alone again. Because sometimes the angels who save you don't have halos. They've got engines, scars, and leather vests, and hearts big enough to change a child's whole world. Not long after everything went down, we found out Linda had been lying about the house payments too. Robert's home was 3 months away from foreclosure. So, the club did what family does. We stepped in. We organized a fundraiser, and within a week, we'd raised enough to pay off 6 months of the mortgage and set up a small trust fund for Sophia's future education. 6 months later, during one of our charity motorcycle runs, Sophia stood by the roadside with her dad and grandmother watching hundreds of bikes thunder past. The sun was bright, the engines roared, and for the first time, the girl who once wanted to be arrested was smiling like she belonged there. Mama Bear rolled up on her Harley, parked, and handed Sophia something wrapped in tissue paper. Sophia peeled it open carefully. Inside was a small leather bracelet with a metal charm engraved, "Iron Angel in Training." She looked up. "What does this mean?" Mama Bear smiled. "It means you're part of our family now. Forever." Sophia hesitated. "What about Linda?" she asked quietly. "Will she ever come back?" Diesel shook his head. "Never," he said firmly. "She took a plea deal, 8 years in prison, and when she gets out, she's banned from being anywhere near kids for the rest of her life." Robert put his arm around his daughter and looked at the bikers surrounding them. Men and women who'd turned his world right side up again. "Even if she tried," he said softly, "she'd have to get through all of you first." Mama Bear grinned. "You already paid us back, Robert. You chose your daughter. You got help. You became the father she needed. That's all the payment we'll ever ask for." From that day on, Sophia still showed up at every Saturday charity event. Not because she had to, but because she wanted to. Because that's what you do for family. The family that saved her when she had nowhere left to turn. The family that honored her mother's memory by protecting her child. The Iron Angels didn't just save Sophia that day. Sophia saved us too. Reminded us that beneath the leather, the noise, and the scars, there were hearts that could still recognize innocence worth fighting for. That's what real sisterhood looks like. That's what bikers really do when children need heroes. They become them. 3 years later, Sophia stood on a small stage at another charity ride, this time as the guest speaker. 12 years old now, taller, stronger, her voice steady. She looked out over the crowd of riders and families. "When I was 9, she said, "I thought the only way to survive was to go to jail. I thought I was so worthless that even criminals had a better life than me." She paused, glancing toward Mama Bear in the audience. "But then I met the Iron Angels," she said, "and they taught me something my mama used to tell me before she passed away. Angels come in all forms, mija. Sometimes they have wings, and sometimes they have wheels." Her voice trembled as she smiled through tears. "I found my angels. They didn't have wings. They had motorcycles. But they flew me to safety anyway. The crowd rose to their feet, clapping, cheering, crying. Robert wiped his eyes. Her grandmother just smiled, her face glowing with pride. After the event, a young boy approached Sophia quietly. He was thin, with the same haunted eyes Sophia once had, and faint bruises on his arms. "Excuse me," he whispered. I heard your speech. I think I need help too." Sophia didn't hesitate. She took his hand and led him across the field straight to Mama Bear. "This is my friend," she said firmly. "He needs angels too." Mama Bear knelt down so she was eye level with the boy. "What's your name, son?" she asked gently. And just like that, the cycle continued. The saved becoming the saviors, the protected becoming the protectors. Because that's what family does. And the Iron Angels had a lot of family to look after. Sophia still wears that little leather bracelet every day. Months later, she noticed something she hadn't seen before, a second engraving on the inside. It read, "You were never a criminal. You were always an angel." She smiled, tracing the letters with her fingers. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is ask for help. Sometimes the strongest people are the ones who admit they're breaking. And sometimes the scariest looking people are the ones with the biggest hearts. That's what Sophia learned at 9 years old, the day she walked up to 12 bikers and begged them to arrest her. She didn't find jail that day. She found family. She found hope. She found herself. And that's a sentence worth serving for a lifetime. If this story touched your heart, hit that like button, subscribe, and share it. Because heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes they wear leather, drink black coffee, and wait at a truck stop for a little girl brave enough to ask for help. The end. The